Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team pick.
Dark Seer.
Dire team pick.
Imba Spirit.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Winter Wyvern.
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Lion.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Clockwork!
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Anti-mage.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Spirit Breaker.
Radiant team pick.
Behold the Horn of Magnus.
Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team ban. Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Lena. Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Takira.
Alright, what could be our last game of this semifinal if EHE can clean it out 2-0, and they've got the perfect kind of lineup to make a big splash. A wombo combo lineup, if you will. Ben, is that the win? Is that how EG is going to be able to finish out CDEC, or do you actually like CDEC's lineup better this time?
I like CDEC's lineup a lot better this time. First off, they looked a little bit uncomfortable on the Wisp, so going back to heroes that they like to play a lot, we usually see XC on the Airbreaker. That's one thing that's a little bit different, but the Clockwork I like a lot versus the Magnus. He's actually really good at catching out the Magnus, isolating him, making sure that he doesn't have to get a good RP, and he's also generally forced to get a Force Staff later to get out of those cogs, unless you want to waste your skewer on that, but that's such a long cooldown that you don't really want to. They don't really have good counter engage. Winter's Curse kind of, and Clockwork kind of, but I think Sumail's like really quick on his skewer outs after the RP that it's going to be really difficult to disengage like you want to, for example, with Song of the Siren or whatever it may be, global.
Right. Now we're going to have the Banner Rune split up here, Shiki, as Selina's going to be matched up against the Magnus, who's going to have a little bit of help from Garter, who's just going to do that small bit of body blocking to see if they can't get the creep equilibrium to the favor of the Lina. In a ranged versus melee matchup, that's going to be quite favorable. XZ is going to be playing the Clockwork, as you mentioned, and he's going to be doing the cog blocking and putting those creeps off into the side of the trees. A good way for the creep equilibrium to go to your favor. Garter, after that body block, is going to go for the charge on the Universe, though. Universe sitting far enough back that he's not going to be threatened here.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get that much experience, but at the same time, the Spirit Breaker can't really get that much experience. I'm a little bit worried about the supports on CDEC getting a little bit under-leveled.
Yeah, it's hard to pull in against a Darkseer just because he's oftentimes tanky enough and disrupted enough that he's going to be able to either grab the creep wave when you're trying to pull through, or maybe take half the experience and maybe even farm via ion shells. It's all just really the big question mark is whether or not he's going to be able to get his level 2 in these next couple of creep waves. He can't afford to just sit back every single time, but maybe with this next creep wave, if he doubles down on ion shells, maybe he'll be tanky enough to play forward and get that level 2.
They only need one support on the bottom lane as of right now, at least one support to deal with XZ. The other one can just pull or stack for the Darkseer so that he can catch up later. Universe looks like he's trying to push up at least. I don't think they can kill him this early. They really need, I think, level 2 Searing Chains at least in order to score a kill when he has Surge, but I don't know when he's going to get that.
Samael missing out on a little bit of CS here, only 2-0 so far against Shiki, and he's taking a lot of damage. This is kind of be expected though that the Lina beats out Samael.
Oh, he got himself.
Yeah, gets cancelled, and now he's in a really bad position because he needed to be able to finish up his bottle with that healing salve, but as you can see, the harassment coming out from Shiki is going to force Samael to buy some regular regen instead of going for the bottle.
Yeah, Fear might have to head over and salve him. The chicken just got back to base right now, and that's pretty much no lane control for Samael for at least the next 45 seconds to a minute. And it's already a tough matchup for him, so getting that salve knocked off is just extremely bad for him. He's not even able to stack at the 2-minute mark.
Something CDEC didn't do a whole lot with stacking, and maybe they've read into that Q is actually going to do a bit of stacking on the medium camp. Picks up the haste rune, will rotate around maybe to put some pressure on Samael. Or, nope, he's going to go for the harassment on Universe. With the charge in, they'll get a lot of damage actually in the middle lane. They do manage to get the kill on Samael. Universe still going to be gone on, though. Not enough time for aggressive. No, it is. He's going to be able to get the chains. Universe is going to be dying here. CDC already starting off 2-0. Peter comes in, but not much that PPD can do. Even with the creep wave and the tower behind him, CDC are still plenty healthy.
Man, I was watching Samael in mid. He had 660 gold, and he shocked away with a creep and then tanked the Dragon Slave and a right click from Shiki. And that burn salve really cost him, but instead he goes for a boots into a TV scroll and another salve to try and catch up. They don't really have great rune control right now because of the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, it was when I was watching that and saw him go down to below half HP with another 200 gold left until he got the bottle. I was sure that he was going to pick up some extra regen just because I highly doubted he was going to be able to sit back and shock.
Shiki knew that he was going to do that though. He salved up with negative 200 HP from full just so he could ensure that the dive would be safe for him.
Yeah.
Good read by Shiki. This is one of his best heroes, if not his best hero.
Yeah. Really takes advantage of the greediness of Samael. And is off to a great start. Evil Geniuses may need to actually try and rotate and help out. Universe did have a stack in his hard camp that he was able to farm up thanks to PPD. So he'll get finally his Surge ready to go, and maybe he can go back to top lane with a bit more confidence. So for now, seems he's going to be happy jungling. This is a nice upside to having a mid laner like a Magnus that isn't as farm dependent as many other mids, and is not as stack heavy. So this actually frees up the jungle more for the offlaners.
It's just really hard for him. He needed a really good start in order to take control of this game, but he is not going to get his blink for a really long time. Still no bottle on him. I'm not even sure if he's going to get a bottle. And on top of that, he has to deal with really hard to hit heroes like the Ember Spirit and low cast point ulti on Winter Wyvern, and of course the Clockwork constantly scouting with flares, as well as potentially battery assaults to interrupt the skewer. So it's a tough Magnus game. I understand that they had a lot of success with it earlier, and after bolstered by the performance of Game 1, they probably felt confident enough to run an underhanded matchup for Samael, but I think they really didn't give Shiki enough credit on his Lina.
Yeah, he's Samael pushed back once again. He's, I'm not even sure if this full bottle is going to be enough to keep him in lane. To be honest, you still have the Laguna Blade ready to go for Shiki, and he's kept his mana pool pretty high. So he can easily just go Laguna Blade, Dragon Slave, and a right click, and that might be enough to finish off Samael even at this higher HP.
They need to try and keep him down. He's super vulnerable right now, and he is 2,000 gold away from the Blink Dagger, and this is the perfect time for Clockwork to go and try and kill him. But speaking of Clock,
Yeah, looks like he's gonna be dead. Hexed up, body blocked as much as possible. They'll give the kill over to RTZ. So first kill of the game for Evil Genius.
yeah, he wants level 6 before he wants to move. Airbreaker.
Skewer back. Gardner is going to continue his charge, but I'm sure he's not going to commit for the kill. That would take some serious cojones, so he just backs up. Shiki gets even more control of his lane. He's now got his level 7. Though if he's not careful, he may actually get picked off by a rotation.
Yeah, he's the only weak part in their lineup right now. Darkseer's in the jungle, so there's not really a gank opportunity there. Oh, Sumail.
And the charge is coming in. They're going to try and hit the RP, but no, the charge comes in first, and he just gets taken out by the Laguna Blade. They really wanted that pick off on Shiki, but it just doesn't happen. Great response from CDC.
I don't even think that Observer Ward saw the Darkseer. They were just really prepared for what he was going to do. Nice movement by Shiki.
Heads up, well, not going to be able to surge up to the top rune. That has already been taken by Shiki, who will clear through the stack. Luckily for him, there's no golems.
Radiant's top
At this point, you
tower is
kind
under
of just
attack.
accept the fact that anti-mage is going to get big. Spiritbreaker can maybe do some stuff to him in the mid game, but he's not level 6 yet and won't be for some time. So you're not looking to really gank him until probably post-Battle Fury,
Right.
at which time he can just go take down stacks with Empower. So that means that you have to just make it like him try to fight like a 1v5 into your team. And Darkseer, still really slow start from him, 1 death. The supports have kind of had a TP around and help out the other lanes which haven't gone well for them. And of course, Sumail, the big loser in this early game.
Now, we saw this build actually starts when Animages were facing up against some Darkseers, and that Ion Shell harassment kept you low, so you'd get the extra value of the Ring of Regen, which goes into Vlad's. You maybe even complete the headdress before you start going for the Battle Fury. But in a lineup like this, where he's facing a Clockwork, I would say a hero that's not particularly overly harassive. Like, I think the Ring of Health would be able to offset the Rocket spam.
It's better. Are you talking about the double ring?
Yeah.
He's not really taking that many right clicks, so instead of getting a poor man shield, you can just get a Ring of Regen, which is much better versus the. Oh, they're actually going for a kill on them. Charge on bottom.
Yeah, they're going to try and fight him up. XD pops his Mango and immediately tries to get the combination off. They push him back with the Cogs, and that's enough for Shiki to obtain the kill via the Laguna Blade.
That was a really well executed smoke gank. They brought just the right amount of people that EG wouldn't suspect. And if you're in AM position, you don't really think that they can kill you. You feel pretty strong at this point. But unfortunately, he didn't have treads, and that's one of the sacrifices of having that double early ring build. But he also had to tank creeps a lot because the supports were pulling. He had to tank like full entire creep waves, and even with a Quelling Blade and Stout, you're generally not going to be topped off all the time, which you definitely want to be versus a Spirit Breaker. But that was a big kill. It's a big chunk of experience for a Spirit Breaker, and kind of gives CDEC a much bigger window to capitalize on EG's poor early game. But they're taking out that stack right now. Sumail's, what is that, a 3 stack at least?
Yeah, they're getting some of the smaller creeps, but Shiki has rotated over in time to finish out the bigger ones.
That's like half his Blink Dagger right there, although I don't know if he's going to get away from it. Can Peter stop this charge?
Yeah, he gets off the Hex, and they don't have the Winter's Curse, so there's not a whole lot of great holding mechanisms if they want to keep going.
Tower is under attack.
CDC just chase back those heroes. Universe actually runs himself past. Aggressive is actually going to bounce back to his remnant. They're just going to surround Universe. He's got to surge up in a second, but they'll get the chains. The charge finishes him off, and Universe gets caught pretty heavily there. He thought the aggression would open up space for him to push in the lane, but that's not the case.
Still, they have 2 Observer Wards deep into their jungle.
Oh, this is going to be dangerous for XD, as he's going to be RP'd underneath that tier 1 tower. They do not have enough of the shockwave just yet. That's why he backs away and gets enough with his bottle in order to get the shockwave to finish off that Clockwork, who thought he was going to have a bit more success with his allies rotating in time, but yeah, really forgets about the range of that skewer.
I think he actually cast Battery Assault too late. I think he casted it after the skewer had already hit, judging by the cooldown, and you have to cast it like before you hookshot in, because if Magnus is able to get his skewer, or alternatively he could have hookshot and then Battery Assault, but he chose to Cog first, and you can actually interrupt the skewer with a mini stun from Clock, and then he wouldn't be taking the tower the whole time. That was completely unnecessary by Clock.
Yeah. 2-5 right now. 10 minutes in. 5k on the Lina. Shiki still well ahead of everyone else in this game, and we are going to be seeing the Yules build. Of course, Yules did kind of get nerfed. It's a bad time for Alina, just that range being nerfed up.
And they're forced to actually move Artesia to the top lane. They drag 2 heroes down after Clockwork's death, and always want to keep eyes on the anti-mage. They don't have deep wards into their jungle like EEG does, so that means that they have to have heroes in the lane kind of watching him and scouting his movements out. But instead, they're CDEC. I don't know. I'm not really too worried about their late game. Like the Axlina, as Milk mentioned, is really good versus the anti-mage, so they can still afford to let him get some farm.
Looks like Beard's going to be a quick pick-off beater. We'll be able to stun up the Clockwork, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any rotations from EG. And now Arteezy just from...
Goddard is charging by mid. I don't know if he's going to stop by Sumail.
Yeah, he might position himself for another charge here.
Yeah, he's not level 6
one
though.
on our tour.
So now CDEC, they really want to knock down these T1 towers because EG's just trying to farm behind their T1 towers in the safety of their own jungle. Luckily for CDEC, they have, I don't know, a sentry ward on that part, so they can kind of rotate into their jungle, but still, like, Universe and Arteezy are both farming it right now, and Sumail has actually caught up and gotten an 11-minute blink because of that stacked steal. That's really good timing from him, considering his start.
Yeah, the early death and just a bad matchup in general. Magnus not known to be the best farming hero in the world, but now he has the opportunity to make some plays happen.
I'm really surprised that he was able to do that though, because Darkseer was already in the jungle to begin with.
Yep.
And they had, I think, a vision on one of the stacks. So let's see, is he gonna smoke up and make a move?
Looks like he just wants to pick up on the Clockwork. I would say not the most valuable hero in the world, but it is still a core. So you'll take the kill if you can get it, but they don't want to blow the RP for it. And they'll be forced back as Shiki comes in. He's got his critical life.
He's not worth the RP.
Yeah.
You want to kill Shiki or Ember, but Ember you'd have to catch him without his Flame Guard. And he's going for a pretty aggressive build with a 4 in chains. And now is about the time that aggressive should start to take off along with the rest of the team. They have the Yule Scepter on Lina, and she is prime. She is the prime RP target. You want to kill her. If you don't kill her, you have the possibility of getting Yules, and then you'll be caught out of nowhere without being able to skewer out.
They managed to get a skewer back on a Q. Looks like that should be a kill, but the heroes are going to come in from the side. Nice, 2-man cogs are going to set things up. Just the combination wipes out 2 heroes quite easily. The Winter Wyvern did go down, but it looks like it's going to cost them 3, maybe even 4. Spear's going to be the next target, bounced back by the ultimate from Garter, and that's going to be an ultra kill for Shiki to wipe things out.
What a excellent hook shot from XZ, catching Darkseer and Lion, and then just lining them up for a light strike array.
Aggressive is his mana burnt away by Arteezy, but
they always have to go on like subpar targets though. First it was like the blink skewer on the Clockwork, and then blink skewer on the Winter Wyvern. These aren't the heroes you really want to kill first in a team fight. You really want to kill the Lina, but she's been playing very smartly, and the Ember Spirit is just farming the safe lane, and then we'll just TP in and the Remnant over. So it might be better to just actually rotate to the Ember Spirit to try and take him down. EG still kind of relying on the anti-mage. We see some levels of Empower up on Magnus now to aid in that regard.
Looks like they want to try and get aggressive with the...
There is an RP up, but he has Flame Guard. This is going to be an insanely difficult kill.
Yeah,
like,
they've got... Fear is level 6, so he does at least have Macro Pyre, but as you said, the Flame Guard's going to be able to tank up most of that damage.
It's only a level 1 Ice Path. Like, I don't think this kill can happen. They have to wait for a Flame Guard, and it's off right now. Here they go.
There it is, the Ice Path leading things in. They're going to follow up the Macro Pyre. Can they get the damage out? No, he jumps to his Remnant, and now he's going to bottle up, jump to another Remnant, and, man, it's not even necessary. He could just TP back.
Okay, they can't even kill him without the Flame Guard.
That's not a good sign. Evil Genius is now going to lose PPD, it looks like, as he can turn around and hex Garter in time, but that just means he gets caught by the Yule Scepter, and Light Strike Array, easy pickup.
So now, where do you go if you're EG? You don't want to purely rely on the Anti-Mage. Oh, XZ, is he going to go for the hook?
Yeah, he managed to force that blink away and was hoping to be able to get the hook onto Arteezy, but...
So what's their catch-up plan now? Maybe... I think it's only AM farm. They can try and smoke it with Sumail, but RP's down for another minute, and their items are coming in really quickly on CDEC.
Yeah, one of the big things about the Magnus is even though as a mid he doesn't offer that much semi-carry potential, he does make your carry that much stronger via Empower, and this also will speed up your farming. So, for example, this big old Ancient stack, Animage can clear that through that pretty damn quickly when
you still want like some offensive potential too. You don't want to have to blow like RP and Finger on Ember Spirit, who might already have a Spirit there, and then they buy back and just wipe your team. So I think they have to be really careful about how they proceed, but they can't play purely defensive and just wait for AM to farm, because CDEC are just kind of trying to corner them in on all sides. Now they've completely taken over their jungle. They've dropped the Observer Ward on the leftmost camp, so now it's really just the Ancients available to them and kind of the left side of the map. But if they don't defend and fight, the T1s are going to fall, and then their space is going to be even further limited. So it's up to Sumail and Peter, I think, at this point to... or, of course, the Darkseer with the big plays. He does have a 4-staff, which is the build of choice versus the Clockwork Rush.
Sumail is going to be jumped, and this is not a hero they can afford to lose first. They do manage to get the skewer back, but it's Garter. He's still tanky as all hell, and CDEC are just going to keep moving forward. They got Universe. He managed to force himself out of the cogs, but now they're going to Winter's Curse him to make sure he does stay down. 2 heroes down on the side of EG, and CDEC on the retreat. Doesn't look like EG can afford any more aggressive maneuvers. They're just going to go for more farm on RTZ.
They saw him because of this Observer Ward. This Observer Ward like cut into the middle lane, and then they were able to get a charge on him. He wasn't even able to blink out in time.
This is also going to catch Fear at the same time, so
yeah, that's...
if they don't realize that ward is there 100%, they should now know now.
I mean, are they even rich enough to deward it? We see 1 sentry on Peter, but like they don't have any items. Like you need a blink on Lion to follow up after the Magnus, because Magnus isn't always going to be able to get that blink RP skewer off. You need someone else to just follow up after the RP, not a skewer. So it looks like all in on anti-made, but we had what, the second latest Battle Fury patch earlier today.
This may be another very late one. They managed to get a good counter ward that actually took away some vision on the side of EG, but it's also going to be blocking out this Ancient stack. As they're finally going to go through now, and this will hopefully finish up the Battle Fury for RTZ.
I mean, he's not that strong. He doesn't have lifesteal. He doesn't have Battle Fury.
Yeah, they're just trying to do it on Empower and kiting. Not a very efficient way to farm.
CDEC's wards are like... They've always complement the way they play. It's always really deep, really aggressive wards, so they can kind of see EG's movement and then meet them where they want to go. And there's one already dropped in the bottom lane. It's been there for 3 minutes already, right outside their T2, even before the T1 is set down. They have already placed a sentry ward on RTZ's Ancient stack, and he is going to have his Battle Fury, but he's the only one who's decently farmed. So, but I mean, they still have to be very careful about how they proceed. They still have to always keep track of Magnus and kill him. He's the highest priority for EG, just like Lina is the highest priority for CDEC.
They had to clear through the Ancients as a team, and they spent so long doing it that you can see CDEC actually putting a lot of pressure on that bottom lane now. They finally do get it. That's gonna finish up the Battle Fury for RTZ, but...
That's a crazy good Ags timing.
Yeah, that Lina.
Yeah, that's, what, 650 damage? That's 2/3 of RTZ's HP right now. And on top of that, like, Magnus's HP too. Like, Magnus is just gonna get destroyed.
Really doesn't stand much of a chance against that combo. Fear being so scared. Just throws out the Macropyre to push out the middle lane. They're going to try and smoke with that one and go to bottom, it looks like.
Their position's pretty good though. Look at Aggressive. He's just sitting right behind. He doesn't want to beat on the tower. This is the discipline that we see from CDEC and why they tend to not give up a lead.
Whoa, quick RP. They're just going to content themselves with 1 free pickoff and Clockwork, it seems, and maybe the deny on that tier 2 tower. But Peter's actually going to lose his line to Aggressive, who advances forward with the Remnant. Now Shiki's going to find an additional hero off the Yule Scepter, 4 staff away. The Light Strike Array actually misses. They ensure the tier 3 tower does go down. Now they get the chains on the Universe. He turns around, manages to get the vacuum to interrupt Shiki for a second, but the kill still comes out for him beyond godlike by 19 minutes.
And that's a necessary death, and I even think that CDEC wanted them to RP the Clockwork. I'm not sure if he got his Blade Mail off in time. It didn't look like it, but when you're EG, you kind of take what you can get. And if you're CDEC, you know that they're that desperate that they will go for a double ultimate on a Clockwork. So that's good for CDEC. They get the tower in the meantime and can have a lot of room to just work around EG's jungle, place more wards, and RTZ trying to farm. Oh, that was so close. Time to turn around and blink. Shiki didn't catch the Yules in time. So he does have Battle Fury.
I mean, at this point in time, You can't just sit back, right? Because CDEC are just going to control the map better, outfarm you.
Well, I mean, that's the position that they were in like 10 minutes ago,
Yeah.
where you had the option of fighting then, but after Magnus has gotten caught out a couple of times, that option is almost eliminated, unless you find them like in the Roach pit or unless they push high ground.
They're actually going to hex up Gardner, but PPD is going to be the casualty here as the hookshot lands. They get him a force staff, but he's on the wrong side of the cogs. And will go down. Samael snagged that regen rune and backed out ahead of Shiki just ever so barely.
And now we see actually a Shadow Blade coming out for the Spirit Breaker. This is kind of a very similar situation to yesterday where VP were playing EG, VP were super far ahead, and they also had a Spirit Breaker, but they didn't have a Shadow Blade to try and get the jump on EG, who are very smart about trying to squeeze out farm in a map that is completely dark to them. But with the Shadow Blade, it just becomes increasingly difficult. Your supports don't want to buy sentry wards because they need the blink dagger, and your carries can't really afford to carry a gem or your cores, and like you already have to deal with the threat of like a clockwork initiation as well as like a Ember jumping you and getting Lina comboed, and now on top of that you have to worry about this invisible Spirit Breaker.
Gardner heads his way down to bottom, forcing RTZ. I mean, he just can't push out that far, even if Gardner isn't that much of a threat by himself, and in these situations where we have the knowledge knowing that it's only Gardner who's going to be there for that.
Yeah, he could literally just sit in his base and they still have to back off like that. They don't have it. They have decent vision around the map. CDEC needs to get a gem, I would say, pretty soon. Gem, Roche, the normal after this T2 is down, and then still starve EG. As far as late game solutions to anti-mage, I think that's just a farmed Ember Spirit.
Okay, here's a nice pick off XD. Looks like he's going to be going down. Is there going to be any other casualties from EG? Nice RP, but the Eagle Scepter actually goes off first from Shiki. They managed to lock down Arteezy, and they're going to be able to finish him off with the help of the chains. Now they turn on to Fear, who, as tanky as he is, should be going down nice and quick. EG lose 2, and there's the buyback from the Clockwork. PPD, nice out there from him.
That was still really close. Anti-Mage almost got that Void off. He was going to die anyways, but if he gets that Void off, I think like Winter Wyvern was like 600 mana deficit. Lina was around the same, so that's a lot of damage to their entire team. He is level 11. And maybe they could have followed that up, because Ember would have been at like 300, 400 HP. But still, nice try by Magnus. Very nice reaction by the Lina to Yules herself. I'm not sure whether she meant to Yules herself or the Magnus, but regardless, either way is okay, as long as she doesn't get RP'd.
Radiant's middle tower.
Now CDEC go for the tier 2 tower. Why do you think XD chose to buy back there? I mean, it's relatively cheap this early on to the game, but he's now going to be skewered back, and this could be a dieback in a way, but there is going to be fights forged around it. Nice vacuum into the Ice Path, and the ultimate comes out. Arteezy takes out 2, and maybe they can pursue. They need to be able to chase this one out, and they could actually have a bit of a comeback here on EG's hands. They've managed to block up Gardner, get the 3rd kill there. Double kill for Arteezy.
I think they saw aggressive BOT bottom, and then that was a sign. It's like, okay, this is the best fight we're gonna get. We're gonna get a 4-on-5, and CDEC showing a slight lapse in their teamwork and not being fully on the same page. As you said, like XZ buying back. He also needs to be on the site. He's actually the one sieging the tower, and that's a dangerous position because if you get cold and breaks, you're still sitting in liquid fire and likely getting beat on by someone with ion shell. So that's not really going to save you. And the blade mail pickup form hasn't actually been that useful.
So because of that awkward positioning there from the Clockwork, it results in a team fight where EG are able to create a nice 2,700 gold swing, and then increase that even further by them being able to get this tier 1 tower, RTC's free farm space, where he's now taking over the enemy jungle. Looks like he'll be able to finish off Vlad's right now. And we now turn towards that Manta.
They really need a Glimmer on CDEC for that sort of push. As soon as someone gets RP'd or skewered, you just Glimmer cape them, and they don't have physical damage right now. And that's a way to proceed in a seed without actually losing that many people. And so Clockwork can at least get off his spells before he dies and do a tiny bit of return damage with a Blade Mail. But as of now, like most of the fights, he just dies without being able to do anything in return.
I kind of like this build. We used to see Jakiro's Samael. Oh, he got the 17%. Maybe this is enough damage. Oh my god, another bash. Samael's dead. Holy cow. Charge, bash, ultimate, and then another bash. Samael didn't stand a chance against that, but we're trying to maximize damage on the side of EG, and that's why Fear's going for the Veil Discord rather than the Yule Scepter that we used to see. We used to see a lot of Blink Yules as a great catching mechanism.
Oh, Arteezy, don't ruin your score. He's getting charged up right now. I don't know if he's gonna. He doesn't have a TP up. This could be bad. Peter's kind of smoked around, but there's 3 heroes here.
Yeah. Oh, PPD, you gotta stop this one. The charge is gonna be able to complete. He stops the follow-up though. RTZ is gonna be Winter's Curse though, and that's the nail in the coffin, I think, for RTZs. He will go down. CDEC will get the additional kill on a PPD, obviously. And with 2 down, CDEC will take control of the map once again. Universe, make it a 3rd. He's gonna be able to force staff away. Oh, the Light Strike Array misses, but with the Aghanims upgrade and level 3 Laguna Blade, Shiki gets the kill anyway.
So now it's just Magnus and Jakiro, but even these two can actually put out a lot of damage on the high ground. It's still not worth it for CDEC, especially considering how poorly their last siege went. So next proceed into Aegis, probably give it to Lina, I would say, because Ember is a little bit too elusive, and if he gets caught, it's, you know, that usually it's avoidable, whereas for Lina, she has much more trouble positioning herself. So yeah. I think she's a better Aegis target than Ember. Ember can also just buy back and Remnant in or BOT in, whereas Lina can't really get her way back into the fight if she buys back.
Right.
But going back to the Clockwork buyback question, it's just kind of the thing that CDEC does is like, okay, we want to fight S5 all the time. If we lose, they just keep throwing bodies, and you know, kind of like last game, it's like, okay, we're losing, but we're just going to keep throwing bodies and bodies and bodies until we win the fight because we're that confident in our fighting abilities. So
CPD, they were hoping to be able to rotate into Roshan. He does kind of stall up aggressive at the same time. Farther up, the fight goes on. They charge on through. Samael managed to, he got the skewer, but can't get off the RP on anybody there. XT, well, he holds in the fire, but it doesn't seem to matter. The mech will keep him alive. Fear will go down, and that just leaves our Darkseer, which aggressive does manage to kill as well. EG, I mean, if game 1 was incredibly one-sided to EG's favor, it's very interesting to see that CDEC are able to apply the same kind of pressure to EG in this game too, with such a one-sided matchup.
Yeah, they're going for like the small percent chance that CDEC aren't actually all together, which was the small fight that they won in the mid, but at the same time it kind of leaves their high ground defense vulnerable. If you don't succeed in that, you're going to lose a T3, which probably would have been the best place for them to fight with the Darkseer. But Darkseer doesn't even have a blink, so it's probably not that big of a deal. That, like, because he doesn't have a blink, it's probably better that they went for the play outside of the base as opposed to trying to siege the high ground, because Ember or Lina can like pick them off super easily.
TZ back to base he goes. CDEC. Oh, he's actually going to finish up the Silver Edge pretty soon on Garter. He has so much farm. So that now means that any extra magic damage that they're throwing around against that Animage won't have to worry about the spell shield. Not that it's that big of a deal for CDC as is, because they've got the pure damage to Laguna Blade.
So this looks like the fake Roche, but I think they have a reserve reward as well as all these trees down, so they can actually spot out where they are just fine.
Clockwork has a Solar Crest, so no Aghanims. But this will allow them to take Roshan that much faster.
So I guess EG have to try and hold a high ground defense against an Aegis and with no T3 and with no blink on Darkseer. And it's a much different situation than yesterday. So I'm very skeptical about their chances. They might not even get to that point. RTZ getting charged.
Looks like they're going to go for maybe an attempted kill on the Winter Wyvern, but they don't realize the charge is coming out. Now they do. Gets the Ice Path and stops Garter's pursuit. See if all the TPs are successful.
But look at Peter. He's
okay.
He's laying some really nice wards in the meantime. This is smart from them, because this allows AM to farm up his jungle a little bit better, and they also have a sentry ward, so they can even see a charging Spirit Breaker.
Right.
But this only works if they fail the high ground push.
That's really the only opportunity EG has, right? Wait for the high ground push. If it fails, then you're able to push out with RTZ, get a lot of farm.
But you can also get like smoking into their jungle though. If they aren't confident enough in pushing high ground, you'll often find like 1 or 2 heroes just farming their jungle alone, which is also what they want to go for with a Hex on Lion to start things off. So it's smart for them to, you know, have other options besides, okay, AM just farm. They have the potential to get some picks, and they need to take advantage of CDEC's positioning if they ever spot a weakness, which right now doesn't look like they're that weak.
Yeah, I mean, as far ahead as CDEC are, I mean, you look at the network chart, everyone else on EG is below CDEC besides the Animage. It looks really bad, but there is something that CDEC, their lineup isn't that good at pushing high ground, so that's really your big reason, right?
Yeah, but they already lost a melee rack. That's a big problem if you're EG. You know, you have to choose one. You have to either defend outside of base or inside of base, and their lineup is much better suited inside. But if you fight outside, you can fight on your own terms. So they went for that, you know, 15,000 network fight instead of like a 25,000 high ground fight. And Arteezy.
And the hook shot managed to stop him, the fourth step away. Nope. There's a final right click out from Shiki. He's going to keep
no
moving
buyback.
forward, trying to get another one off the Yule Scepter. He's got the Light Strike Array to stop Samael. Actually misses that one. He managed to get the Skewer back, which also brings the Spirit Breaker with the ultimate. He managed to get off the RP, but there's not a whole lot of follow-up. No, they actually managed to get the vacuum through man's vacuum while they take away that Aegis, and the rest of CDEC are dropping a bit low. Carter looks like he may go down. Universe pursues out on him. Clockwork taken down to the tower. Ice Path just barely managed to stop him there, and it's going to be Shiki right in the middle of this base, backing up with Aggressive and Q. They're going to go for the tier 3 tower now. See if Fear can actually stall up their push enough that his teammates can revive.
CDC is not scared though. They don't have any ultimates on EG. Even if they were to buy back, they could probably still fight 5-on-3,
yeah,
or 3-on-5.
The only one they have left was that AM ultimate, because obviously they picked him off first to vacuum back into the Ice Path, get a decent amount of damage out from that dual breath, but they'll now land the Light Strike Ray. Universe is dead as an Octarine Core just going to work. Nice Winter's Curse to find a quick escape. Now they're going to be able to get PPD as well.
Anti-Mage's respawning.
Just jumps right on in, and they are missing out on a significant amount of mana. They got to really be careful with this. The Hex comes towards Shiki. Is going to go down here in a second as Cold Embrace stalling things up a bit, but well, he's got the Yules and a Light Strike Array, but he'll die eventually. Looks like Q also going to be, oh wow, just ahead of that Ice Path.
They just weren't keeping track of the anti-mage's timer. So they had a big mana void. Up for that, still, that was just a devastating team fight for EG. You can't really call that a victory for EG. For the fact that they didn't lose the game right there.
Certainly not. Arteezy just gets a bit more farming time. He's got his Manta. What is this Ultimate Orb going into?
Charge for Spirit Breaker.
Oh, so we're getting the Lincolns?
Yeah.
Okay. Feels a bit awkward, but see where it's going from. The Laguda Blade, the charge.
I mean, the only chance they win is if Anti-Mage gets farmed. He can't get farmed, he can't split push, and he can't split push if the Spirit Breaker charges him, so it's not bad.
What about the exact opposite, right? That's a very defensive item. What about the Basher and just kind of going all in on offense? See if you can't
You can't because of the Lina, because the Lina will just destroy you, and likely when they push, or the next successful push will be a Lina Aegis.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they have like a Winter's Curse or Cold Embrace, which will kind of stop you if you don't have BKB. But yeah, I guess Basher BKB or I guess Divine. Those are your other options, I suppose. Even Butterfly, I guess, Butterfly's just mediocre because of Lina. So
yeah, Lina.
I would say hard over that.
Speaking of Amber Spirit, he's got Blink Dagger that was shown off earlier, and we'll soon have the data list. We've already seen the Octarine Core a couple times on the Lina. 37.5 second cooldown on that ultimate. Pretty insane. What do you go for next?
You can get BKB or Scythe.
Yeah.
Any of those are fine. Even Refresher would be okay, although I don't think you want to use that much mana just for the potential of like 2,000 damage mana void. Even 3,000 at some point.
Arteezy trying to split push. You have XZ waiting on his opportunity if AM shows himself.
So let's see. Still a few minutes left on the Roshan timer. CDC, they saw what happened yesterday. I don't think they're gonna be pushing high ground prematurely. And if they do, they'll be doing it the normal way with like a solar crest from the Clockwork, buffing up Lina, who will be hitting the tower, who will also be carrying an Aegis.
Four-man smoke, CDEC start pushing out. They're gonna perhaps bait Clockwork if he positions himself really aggressively, or maybe they're just gonna try and fight.
They also don't have a tower on bottom. They can kind of approach from bottom.
Oh, they got the hook shot. Managed to catch Arteezy, bouncing back with the cogs. He blinks himself away, but there's still the charge, and he will be caught. That'll probably allow them to be able to push uphill. They still have the Winter's Curse ready to go to lock down.
He does have buyback this time, so they're like kind of low on mana on some heroes. Like Clockwork's kind of low on mana, so they can still turn it around with the Mana Void and Power AM. So it looks like CDC kind of sketched out by that possibility.
35 minutes in, 11 to 34, 20,000 gold lead for CDEC. We saw that slight bump earlier from the team fight. But CDEC have been doing a great job just controlling this game and making sure they secure their victory in this game number 2. Push into the full series, jump in. Ember Spirit just does a bit of sleight of fist damage, nothing major.
The smoke. Sumail smoked up. So Clockwork,
are under attack.
there's random rocket flares won't be able to catch him out.
At this rate, they're gonna lose their range tracks without even a team fight.
CDC's like super careful though. They're not nearly as gung-ho as VP, and just making sure that this fight just goes perfectly for them on the next round. They have Greaves, they have Solar Crest, they have Force Staff coming out very soon. They have Blinks, they have Glimmer Cape, I believe, too. So they have all the tools that they need to siege high ground, aside from the Aegis.
Yeah, just giving a lot of respect to Evil Geniuses. Making sure they mount a largest possible advantage that they can. RTZ, well, he's taking a lot of damage from this Daedalus. With the charge coming in, they may actually be able to finish him off. They've still got the ultimate from Gardner. Throws it out now, and yep, another pick off on RTZ. Again, he still has buyback, but CDEC may actually force that this time around as they're going to jump in. Hookshot actually kind of misses out there, and they manage to get the 2-man RP over the wall with the Witch's Curse on the side. Q might manage to actually save those 2 heroes thanks to that control. Semifinal manages to force staff himself out. Vacuum gets laid out once again inside of the cogs this time around, and the ultimate from RTZ isn't enough to finish off these heroes. Gardner will go down, but looks like a blink out from Lena will be able to survive. Back out. Universe very low, is going to die to another sleight of fist if he's not careful.
I don't know how Lena was at full mana that entire time. She didn't even use her spells, and RTZ was sitting there waiting to mana void her, but that would have done zero damage.
Yeah.
Still nice catch by Sumail. He finally got the Lena, but it's a little bit too far behind for them. So they weathered the storm buyback into the high ground defense with vacuum wall RP. So that's pretty much a green light for CDC to go and end the game while AM's buyback is down.
Yeah, maybe they wait out the 2 minutes for Roshan.
Yeah, it's like
take that. Is that Aegis and Cheese, or is that just Aegis?
That's like maximum timer. I think it's. I actually honestly forgot.
I think it's just a second Roshan, so just Aegis.
That's, yeah, it seems like it, but without AM buyback, he's not going to get any items. Ember Spirit, it's just ridiculous. If he mantas out of a bolus, he's just going to get slighted. Cleave twice. He does more cleave than the Magnus anti-mage.
Rough time for Evil Geniuses, but just trying to draw it out as much as possible, wait for CDEC to make a mistake. Capitalize on best as possible. I mean, they do have the wombo combo. They've got the vacuum into the RP with the AoE ultimates.
They're fully cognizant of all the skills that EG has to defend the high ground. The smokes, the buybacks, and you can't ever underestimate that, because it's not just a straight 5-on-5. It's going to be like 6-on-5, 7-on-5, 8-on-5 and of course, like sometimes a fight might even drag to the T4 if they like vacuum into a skewer over there. So it does not that simple.
It's easy. It's away from the Ember Spirit with Quick Manta jumping out, and CDEC hoping for an easy pickoff that will allow them to finish off this game. Not gonna happen just yet. EG hole up inside of the base, waiting out CDEC's push.
Yep, just hoping they clump up. With the blinks is pretty unlikely. Aggressive is playing super carefully and very well. On top of that, they have like a lot of HP too. I think he's going Scotty afterwards on the Ember Spirit. But they can kind of tank up through the through that, and then with the Solar and Glimmer on top, it's really easy. Fear might lose a gem right here.
Yeah, but aggressive. He already boots have traveled in. They managed to get the chains that will ensure the kill. The gem looks like is going to be recovered by PPD. Nice. But
like, look at the restraint from aggressive. Like, he doesn't go in for this line. He's like, let me just walk in and get the gem. And aggressive's like, nah, I'm not interested in that.
Got the free kill. Finish up that Scotty first, and then we can talk about Roshan, which is also available.
So if they don't have a smoke, there's like very little chance that they can even think about defending this. And it looks like 2 minutes 30 on the smoke, so they kind of just have to give it up and then wait for the high ground. So if you're them, you hope that CDEC they approach all through a single lane, which is a mistake that a lot of players and teams make. Like if you have a rack out, you have to use that advantage to like have your team approaches already from the high ground and have your team approaches from the low ground, and it just makes it that much more difficult for Magnus to get a good RP, which can still turn the game around.
Yeah, certainly. The Roshan will fall here. EG waiting out. The best they can really do is maybe push out the top lane with Arteezy, but that's quickly going to be controlled by our Ember Spirit. Are one step ahead of the game. Push out top, push out middle, and we'll see what happens when CDEC push uphill, I'm sure. I mean, it's going to take some failed execution by CDEC.
Aggressively, he pushed out that lane and then he immediately remnant back. Like a Lion plus anti-mage, I think, could possibly kill him. Oh, big fight.
Yeah, they get the hook shot here, the cogs, but there's 4 staffs all around the board, so they should be able to get out of here without much trouble. CDEC don't find the pick out they're looking for, and that actually puts a decent amount of time because Crescif, okay. Talking about how, you know, patiently he was playing with the TP up to the top lane, immediately Remedy back.
Well, he has a blink. He wants to pop their smoke. Like if they're smoked, he blinks into slides, he pops every single smoke, every single hero that's smoked in that vicinity. So that's, you know, it's a good move by him. He has reasons for doing that. Going into the T4s. Unlike some people.
You just can't help yourself sometimes, can you, Berlini?
I really can't.
Gotta fire those shots. All right, Gardner. Oh, the vacuum! That was a good one with a 4-man vacuum over the top. Oh, the RP doesn't actually get laid out enough to be able to control CDEC. They're fighting back as Aggressive pushes forward and will hunt down Samael. 1, 2, and he's gone farther up. It looks like Arteezy's still gonna be fighting out. Charge onto Universe is gonna be able to push him and stop that TP. And Arteezy actually tries to go on Aggressive, but the ultimate isn't enough. And CDEC now keep on going. They're gonna now turn towards Arteezy with the hook shot and the cogs push back. They'll control him enough, it'll die another time. They don't have an RP, and without their anti-mage, there's just no chance of EG being able to fight this one out. A frenetic team fight, but it all goes to CDEC, who don't drop a single hero in that fight.
Wow, what if they had RP'd after that 4-man vacuum? I don't know if they would have had enough damage, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty insane possibility for EG to maybe make the comeback.
But CDC is ridiculous with their comfort heroes.
Oh yeah, they just played that game so well. It seemed like, especially the patience and discipline that they brought to that game was top notch. I mean, they waited out to ensure they had the highest amount of advantage they possibly could before they pushed uphill.
Cheeky Lina.